All right, gentlemen, coming in hot this week because it's been stewing in me for a whole fucking week waiting to talk about this shit. Let me just tell you something, Marvin. James Gunn is genuinely cooking, okay?
Yeah, you say that.
Nah, don't fucking get your negative juju out of here, all right?
It's not negative. It's just everything. Every time shit is hyped up, it turns into garbage.
I'm hyping
Long legs.
I'm hyping it. The general public is not yet hyping it. It will get hyped next summer. But he released an image this week that just had me in absolute shambles, okay? And this is what I'm fucking talking about. I'm going to pull this up right here.
Oh, Krypto.
This is what I'm talking about. It's Superman, a colorful one, just sitting next to his dog Krypto, watching the planet that he loves so much. And I gotta say, just from this image alone, I think James Gunn knows the assignment. See, you're saying that I'm overhyping it, but I'm just basing it on the guy's history. Like, he took the Guardians of the Galaxy, unknown characters for the most part, outside of the world of comic books, and he made them these characters that everybody cared about. He made me cry. And you, Marvin. He made us cry, grown men, over a fucking CGI raccoon and his found family, okay?
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
This motherfucker knows the assignment. And, you know, all the haters, they're just shouting into a void. You got fucking you-know-who's, Zack Snyder nerds, being like, Krypto looks too fake in this fucking picture. It's like, dude, keep yelling into the fucking void, okay?
Yep.
Because in the real world, I don't even know how people are functioning anymore with all the fucking bad shit that goes on in the world. Every single day, we're just bombarded with bad news, genocides, fucking wars, all sorts of crazy bullshit. This is the Superman the world needs, Marvin, okay? The world needs a hopeful Superman. I want to see him saving old ladies from fucking buses that have broken brakes. I want to see him getting kittens out of trees. I want to see him building playgrounds for kids. And I want to just weep tears of happiness. This is the Superman that the world needs, and this is the Superman that the world deserves. Right there, folks.
Yeah, I saw a commercial the other day. It was a bunch of famous celebrities and athletes. It was like, stop the hate. And they were like, hate is winning. Stop the hate. I'm like, wow, what a fucking depressing ad.
Right?
To actually say, like, hate is winning. Like,
yeah.
That's not even close to the case. Like, sure, there's a lot of hate out there, but to say it's winning... Like, how depressing do you try to make me right now?
It might be winning right now.
Hate is winning. Look at all the clickbait, rage bait.
I agree. Listen, I'm being partially like funny, but I'm dead serious. I do think the world needs Superman more than ever. Like, I'm being serious. I think the world needs Superman. These characters are larger than life, and just the way, like, you know, these like Hercules and like these heroes that we've created throughout history, like they always had they're more than just stories. They're like in our culture and like in our what's the word I'm looking for, our like Hercules and shit. People believed in that motherfucker. Like, at least Superman's like departed from that, but the mythos, yeah, our myths, our legends. And there's no reason why like comic book characters aren't the new versions of those, and Superman being the beacon of hope that he is. Like, I really do think, like, if they'd market this movie properly and it does develop into this, like, pop cultural sensation the way Barbie did or Oppenheimer, like, the world needs Superman, Marvin. And hopefully we get him.
Hopefully.
But yeah, there is a little caveat to this picture that has me kind of worried. And that is the fact that knowing James Gunn and knowing the stories that he likes to tell, a story about Superman and his dog, which is the last link he has to his home world, could potentially have me in absolute fucking shambles in the movie theater. Being somebody who recently lost my dog, I have a feeling this story could go in that direction where, like, it's about him saying goodbye to Krypto at some point, and I don't know if I can handle that.
That's tough, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I need to send you a whole box of like Superman tissues so you can take to the theater with you, because you're gonna use it. You're gonna be crying through the whole fucking movie, Dan.
Oh yeah, no. If this movie does anything right, like I will be like dead by the end of this movie. I mean, just look at this image. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful image.
It is.
It's just him and Krypto looking at the Earth. Like, oh my God, it's so good. Doesn't get better than this. I'm very, very hopeful about this movie.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Anyway, how was everybody's week? I was waiting to get that off my chest. I couldn't wait to talk about that shit. How was your guys' week? Good?
It's good.
It's pretty good, yeah. I got good news about the house, so that's good.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to get in there, get it set up.
What have you been up to, Dusty?
Not a whole lot. Just busy with work and kids and everything else. Magic the Gathering.
Oh yeah, he's still playing Magic. Did you know Marvin? Did you know that you weren't here when he dropped that bombshell? He's a Magic player.
No, I didn't know that.
He's a big Magic player. This guy.
Well, yeah, I played a lot of. I guess it's called standard now. Back in the day, in the '90s, when I was in high school, I played a lot of Magic, and then when I moved out here to California, I left my collection back in Oklahoma, and then when I moved back to Oklahoma, like 15 years later, I sold my collection. And then when I moved back out here to California, Christina's oldest was in Magic and got her into Magic, so I got back into Magic. So I'm back into Magic now.
Nice.
Do you play?
They're getting into Marvel this year, so a lot of Marvel announcements at Comic-Con this year. So this is an exciting time for me.
Do you play with like actual physical cards or just like online?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't really. I tried the online for a little bit. It's not as fun. I'm
Yeah.
cardboard paper player.
Okay.
Nice. I never really got into Magic. I used to play some Yu-Gi-Oh back in school.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh.
That was pretty good, but
have you guys been watching anything or not really?
I'm caught up on Penguin.
Really.
Penguin's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's doing good.
I've heard.
I can't wait to start watching that.
I was just
still need to do Superman and Lois too. Well,
when I just watched Romulus earlier. By the way, folks, we're talking about Romulus today. I saw like all like the new shows that are queued up, on Cody or whatever, the way I have it set up, and like new seasons of things that I've been waiting for have just been like vomited into my fucking queue, and I didn't realize that they were like ready to come out, I guess is what I'm like, unexpectedly. So like, Superman and Lois started last week and I'm one episode behind on
season.
That.
A lot of drops.
Shrinking season 2 came out. I don't remember if you guys watched that show, but that show was great.
Yes, I'm the one that recommended it to you guys.
Yeah. So that show, season 2 dropped. You watched it too, Marvin?
I watched a couple episodes. I never finished it. I gotta go
that's
back
right.
to it.
Yeah.
So that's back. I'm excited to watch that. I just got a lot of stuff to catch up on, and I haven't really been
Slow
watching
Horses. I think it's wrapping up their next season. I think they got one more to do it. I don't remember, but
yeah.
Also, yeah.
Slow
really
Horses.
Yes,
Is that what you said?
It's a British show. Goodman. No. What's that?
Gary Oldman.
Oldman, yeah, Oldman, not Goodman. Oldman. Always get them mixed up.
Saul Goodman.
Gary Oldman, yeah. It's a great character he plays. Yes.
Somebody I play Tarkov with.
Yeah, it's a great show.
Speaking of Saul Goodman, he's watching Breaking Bad for the first time. Like
good for him.
Yeah,
what a fucking lucky bitch.
Right. Well, he's a little bit of a weird one. He told me the other day. I kind of was just like, like I didn't really even like comment on it. He said he hates the show other than when they're cooking. Like he only likes the parts of where Jesse and Walter like cooking, which means he's a fucking bonehead and really doesn't understand the show or the characters or what it's trying to tell. Like he's just there to watch guys like do crime and like get away with it, I guess. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a bonehead. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Got some announcements though on some shows too. Season 2 of Fallout starts filming next month, November.
Fire. Can't wait to see what they do at New Vegas. That's going to be amazing to see.
Yeah. That's basically how they ended it, right? Like that's the...
It was like the drop or whatever. What is it called? Big reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like in the universe, but they don't... I haven't watched this show yet, but my understanding is they're not really using any characters from the game, but it is canon. Because they're using game rules and game events in the show, but they're not actually using game characters.
No,
right?
but now, but now
right.
she's going to New Vegas, so I think that's what Marvin's.
They have to introduce, they have to introduce the governor or whatever of New Vegas, or what was it? I think it was some governor,
mayor.
Mayor. Maybe it's Mayor.
Oh yeah, he is a character, right? He's an important part of that game, isn't he?
Yeah.
I never played that one. I know it's like
considered
like the best one. But, yeah, I haven't really been watching much.
Bethesda.
I'm still on my not watching stuff grind again. I got to get back to it though, because I got a bunch of shit piling up. I started a fitness journey this week.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
We just got back into the gym too.
Well, I'm not going to the gym yet. Well, I don't really like the gym. And then it's like I'm going to pay for something. And it's like, I just know
you got to find a low-key gym. That's what it is.
Yeah, I just know me and how I am. Maybe down the road I'll start going to the gym when I like bottom out on this. But I found this really good like at-home calisthenics routine that's like pretty comprehensive. And it's all based off of like progressively scaling difficulty of exercises. So like, it's Monday through Saturday is your exercises, 2 exercises per day. And like 3 sets of each. But like the way it scales is, let's say like push-ups on Monday. Today's Monday. I have to do push-ups today. Well, the easiest version of push-ups is wall push-ups, where you just lean up against the wall and do them. And the progression is you do either 2 sets of 30, 2 sets of 50, or 3 sets of 50. Once you could comfortably do 3 sets of 50 of that exercise, you're ready to move up to the next difficulty level. And so you just do all these different exercises every week until you slowly but surely get better and better and better. And then eventually you're doing like 1-arm push-ups and shit, which are considered like the hardest. And I joined their Discord too, because I was like, it's free too. It's like this course this guy did. And it seems pretty comprehensive. And then I went into the Discord because I had a question. I was like, well, what if some exercises are too easy? Should I still start at the base level or just start at my comfort level? And everybody said you should start with the easiest stuff, even if they're too easy for you, because part of calisthenics, I guess from what I understand, is that it's meant to teach you like good range of motion and like good flexibility and stuff. So despite them being easy, it's worth it to do. So I've been doing that.
You'll have to send that to me. I'll check it out.
Oh yeah, I got you. I've been walking every day.
I like calisthenics. I like squatting, just body weight and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, like if you think about it, like in the military, right? Like people come out of at least out of boot camp, fucking jacked. Why? Because they're doing body weight exercises all the fucking time. Like you don't really need to lift weights and stuff to like. I mean, I guess it depends on your goals.
Not so much anymore.
If you want to be a fucking jacked ass bodybuilder, then yes. But like body weight stuff and like resistance training is some of the best stuff you could do as far as my understanding goes. So, but that's the problem I think with a lot of stuff and the internet, which is a continuing theme here on the podcast, is that like you try to look something up and you just get 50 billion different opinions on a thing and you don't know what's right or what's wrong or what's better for you. When really at the end of the day, it's like, you don't have to fucking go nuts. Get a little bit of exercise every day.
Yeah.
Yep.
You could exercise half hour. What is it? Alan Richardson, the guy who plays Reacher. He's like, I work out for 30 minutes a day. If you do the same thing for 30 minutes a day every day, you will develop a good body.
Right.
And then you can cheat but you got it's all about meal and stuff. I've never really been like an exercise type guy. I like walking. I like riding my bike around. I like swimming. Yeah. That's kind of how I say I'm not a go to the gym and pump weights and get jacked. Never really been that, but I don't know,
I mean, you ask any cardiologist on the planet, they'll be like 30 minutes of walking a day is all you need. Like,
yeah. I walk a couple miles a week, ride my bike a couple miles a week. And then in the summer, I'll swim a couple miles a week. So it all adds up.
And I got to say, walking like 30 minutes a day consistently, like it's actually a mood booster too. Like I feel really good going for walks every day. Like not only do I feel
unless it's 115 degrees outside.
Yeah, I mean obviously if it's hot as fuck it's different, but like I just generally like I just feel better. Like I'm outdoors, like I'm getting some sunlight, I'm getting some walking in, like, and it's just I don't know. And you also feel accomplished too. I felt fucking good that I did a whole week of exercise. I haven't exercised in like 30 years. Like it's crazy. So, and luckily I've been gifted a very fast metabolism my whole life. It's only in the last year or so that I've started to develop a little bit of a dad gut. So like, I've never really had to exercise, but like now that I'm getting older, you want to get it in there.
Yeah.
But all that chit chat aside, this is episode 107, folks. We're talking about Alien Romulus a little bit later in the show. But yeah. Keep in mind, folks, we have a website, harshlanguage.tv. Has all our links in there, one of which is a link to our Discord, which is fairly new. We're encouraging people to join the Discord if you use it, because people post stuff in there. We post news and share with each other. But most importantly, our schedule. We're trying hard to basically schedule out the whole month of movies we're watching for the show, and so that way people could follow along with us. So link will be down below or on our website. If you'd like to join the website, consider doing so.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, real quick.
Oh,
watching stuff.
Hit us.
I watched 2 movies.
Oh,
you'll never guess what they were.
You're an enigma with movies. I can't guess.
Nah, well, it's spooky month, as you know. We were talking about our boy Art the Clown.
Art the Clown, yep.
Talking about his icon status.
Terrifier?
Hold on one sec. Yeah. And so yeah, I watched Terrifier 1. So funny thing, I turned it off before I could finish it.
Really?
But I did finish watching it with C. It's not that it was bad, but you know how there's games you like to play with friends, but you don't ever really play them alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like these type of horrors are great to watch with people.
Yep.
And laugh, but I don't really have the patience to get through them when I'm watching by myself.
Because they're unserious movies. They're not like meant to be sat and watched, you know? They're like...
It just felt like I was waiting to see how like wacky and kooky the next kill would be.
Yep.
And there was like no real plot. And I got tired of it. But I did end up finishing it. And then we watched the second one, which I thought was a lot better.
Okay.
And I actually enjoyed that one. So looking forward to maybe seeing the third one at some point.
That's the draw of those movies, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's always been the draw. Like, that's one of the cool things about the horror genre is, like, at least for me, it's always been that of like, let's go to Blockbuster, let's pick out a movie that's
with friends,
based on the box art, and then go home and watch it and freak out and eat popcorn and maybe like hold hands with like a chick you have a crush on or something, or a guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
yeah.
That's always been the fun of horror movies.
I saw Ice-T's review of Terrifier 3, and I thought it was pretty hilarious.
Ice-T, the
do
rapper?
not see this if you haven't made it through 1 and 2. Yeah, because he's a big horror fan.
Right.
Do not see this if you're not into extreme, all caps, violence and gore, all caps.
Yeah.
The shower scene made us yell out loud. I loved it, but it's definitely not for the weak, is what he says. And he's into that type of weird, crazy shit. So for him to say Terrifier 3 kind of gets close to the edge of craziness is a little wild for me.
That's funny.
Apparently there was a movie added to Netflix, or there's a new movie on Netflix right now, a horror movie that I saw on TikTok, people talking about it. I thought I added it to my list here, and that's why I have my list up on the screen for you guys, but I guess I didn't. Oh, wait.
Called
this
Outside?
Is it. Nope, this is it. Caddo Lake. This is supposed to be a very good movie.
Oh, yeah. This is on my
this is Max,
maybe might want to watch, yeah.
Yeah. But no, there was a Netflix movie, too. I just didn't add it to my list. But considering it's spooky season, there is another thing that I added to my list, a show that I totally forgot about. So thank you, random Twitter user who posted about it to remind me. This show right here, Hysteria, which is on Peacock, starring Bruce Campbell, supposedly very, very good. And the tweet that I saw is, if you liked the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, this is the show for you. So I'm excited to watch this eventually.
Interesting. Apparently Peacock's getting into that because they got a new show coming out called Teacup that's supposed to be pretty spooky.
This has a 7.1, this show.
Oh wow.
Hysteria. So, you know,
and it just came out.
First of all,
interesting.
Give me anything with Bruce Campbell. Like, I'll watch that shit in 2 seconds. But
absolutely.
Teacup is what?
Yeah, I didn't even see him promote this, and I follow like all his Twitter accounts. He's like got an Ash account, a Bruce Campbell account. Like, he just doesn't promote his own stuff. But
I did see this.
This trailer, I've seen it a couple times watching some football games. It looks pretty good. So we'll see. The kid's like, the man in my head told me we should run or whatever, and
she looks very
stuff happens.
She was in Dexter, but she was also in Handmaid's Tale.
Damn, Marvin just knows off the bat. Holy shit.
Mm.
I've never seen facts drop so fast.
Oh, Predator 2, Dexter, yeah.
That's where I know her from, The Predator. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That was the Shane Black Predator.
Yep.
Yeah, so a couple things on the horizon. We might have more horror movies, honestly, to queue up for December, because there's a couple that I saw that I wanted to watch.
Hey,
Yeah.
slowly shifting into 80% horror. I don't mind.
Hey, listen, we got to niche down. That's what all the professionals say, you know? So speaking of horror, we could just kick off the news portion of the show with my boy,
Sure.
Mike Flanagan, the potentially new master of horror. I fucking suck his dick.
Meh.
That's it. Show's canceled. What do you mean, meh? I thought you like his shit.
No, he's done some good stuff, but I mean, he's doing a Stephen King thing, and I'm not big on all of his other Stephen King stuff. So
Listen, Gerald's Game is good. I mean, it's not great, but it's good. That was a Stephen King adaptation. And he did Doctor Sleep, which is arguably the best Stephen King adaptation to date. I've talked about that movie at length with you guys and how good of a job he did with it. Stephen King himself.
Life of Chuck.
Love that movie. Well, no, that's not out yet. Life of Chuck has just gone through the film festival scene, and it's getting rave reviews. Life of Chuck is coming out next year, I think, to theaters. Maybe sooner, I'm not sure. But it's also a Stephen King adaptation. But the reason I brought it up is because this motherfucker is just taking on all the Stephen King shit. So his next few projects are Life of Chuck,
Cost him $1.
summer of 2025, the Untitled Exorcist film, which we've talked about here, March of 2026. He's doing now, it was announced, which is why I brought this up, a series adaptation of Carrie for Amazon, which is very exciting. And he's doing the previously announced Dark Tower series, I think also for Amazon. So I'm here to let Mike Flanagan cook. You watch your fucking tone, Dusty.
Yeah,
But-
I don't know how I feel about it. Like, there's a lot of stuff he could be doing, like a Carrie series. I don't know if it needs 8 fucking episodes. It's Carrie.
Listen.
I mean, what are you gonna put in 8 1-hour episodes? What are you really gonna put in there?
I get what you're saying, but listen, maybe it'll be good. Who knows? What I'm really excited about,
yeah,
though,
he might kill it, and I might eat my own words, but I'm not sure how I feel about a Carrie series. There's a lot of Stephen King stuff that he could do that'd be amazing as a series. Carrie feels like just make another movie. It doesn't need to be a series, but that's just my opinion on it. But I'm still excited for it. It's probably going to be better than most of the other Stephen King crap that most people put out. So I will give him credit there that he is probably the best Stephen King adopter that we have in film and TV. So, you know, obviously he gets that credit, but
now
I'm on the fence right now. I'll wait and see it.
that's fair. Marvin don't even have an opinion. He's gonna watch our shit no matter what we make him watch.
So, yeah, I watch, of course, because I have to watch, but I do like Mike Flanagan stuff.
Yeah, you still
I
haven't watched
seen
it.
Doctor
Midnight
Sleep.
Mass.
I started it. I just
Did
didn't
you?
get to finish the first episode yet. Listen, I'm waiting. When I have my setup,
Eh,
I'm getting a crazy TV. I'm getting surround sound. I'm watching
Oh,
everything.
fuck.
There you go.
Let's go.
I'm watching everything.
theater, yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is really what I'm most excited for right here. Mike Flanagan is doing a sequel/requel to The Exorcist, whatever you want to call it. And he was quoted here with something that makes me excited. He said, it's pointless trying to make The Exorcist better than it was done already. You have to do something new, but that isn't trying to replace it. My only goal isn't to remake the scariest movie ever made. My goal is to make the scariest movie I've ever made. So that's kind of, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I read too much into shit like that, but I get excited when people say shit like that because, like James Gunn with the Superman picture, it lets me know that these people know the assignment. You know, this would have been a good segue if I was in charge of the news today, but Like,
Well, no, there's better segues. I will say that there is some more Stephen King news. A24 is currently adapting King's fairy tale into a series as well.
saw that.
This is after a failed movie attempt at Universal made them realize a single film wasn't sufficient to cram all the shit they wanted to.
You talking about?
So like that's something like I could see maybe into a series, but again, Carrie, I don't know. Maybe it's been a while since I visited the Carrie saga, so I'm on the fence on that one. But like I said, I'm not going in negative. I'm just on the fence with it.
Wasn't there a Brendan Fraser movie called Fairy Tale?
I don't know. Is that? There's a,
Inkheart. Never mind. I'm way off base.
yeah.
He was in a movie called Inkheart that's based off of a book. But yeah,
I
no,
read Inkheart, the book.
Did
It was
you?
Good. Yep.
the movie's actually good.
Didn't see the movie though.
It's like a good kids movie from what I remember. Like not kids, but like I don't know, maybe like
It was the book was like, like those young adult type
Yeah,
books.
yeah.
It was like that. So and I read it when I was like in middle school or something. So
But I don't know. That Exorcist thing gives me hope because, like, with these like Romulus, like we're talking about later, these these sequels to movies that are like 30 years old, 40 years old or more, like, it's a tough position.
You haven't watched Have you watched Room 7A yet, or is it 7B?
No, I actually. I remembered it.
now,
I know.
think,
I remembered
right?
it the other day when I was doing some editing, and I forgot to tell you guys, like, oh, we forgot about this movie. But
No,
like,
I didn't forget about it. I was just like,
we should watch it maybe for December.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, we might be able to
What
do
I was
that.
what I was getting to is that like when you do sequels to movies that like are famous and like very famous and change the genre and culture around things, like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because like obviously the studio wants you to make something that could be reproduced over and over and over again for profit.
mhm.
And then from a creative standpoint, it's like, well, you don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again. In fact, I would argue that's when these things start to fail. And it's when they do something new and refreshing, that's when they're good and entertaining. And so his quote about Exorcist just got me a little bit excited because it seems like he does not want to do what was already done. He wants to make it his own. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's going to be good, but it's a good start.
Yeah, I'm always hesitant of requels and remakes. There's very rarely a case where it's better than the original. Sometimes it stands up to it, but more times often than not, it's a letdown. And the few that I can think of that were just as good, if not a little bit better, were like Westerns. Like 310 to Yuma is a great remake with, what's his name? A guy who played Batman in The Batman. What the fuck is
Russell Crowe and Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yes. Great movie. True Grit, John Wayne's original, awesome. Jeff Bridges remake, awesome. There's a couple more, but like horror movies and action movies, if they try and do it, it's usually like a big letdown. So
yeah,
I'm kind of on the fence on most of those, but yeah,
and
we'll see how it goes.
Folks listening or watching at home, and Marvin too, keep this theme in mind because we're gonna revisit it when we talk about Romulus because it's a big part of what I have to say about that movie. So keep that in mind. So
Okay.
let's get into the news proper. Dusty's our actual newsman, not me.
Right.
What you got for us this week, Dusty?
Well, we had Comic-Con. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, I guess there was. It was all exclusive trailers that were kind of leaked and talked about, but not a lot of. Most of the news was comic related, I guess I would say. So we've got a little bit. One thing that I'm actually excited about, at the Jim Lee and Friends panel, Mr. Lee himself revealed that he and writer Jeff Loeb were reteaming on a sequel to Batman Hush series for Batman Hush 2.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, looking forward to that.
I'm sorry I stepped on your toes. I just noticed.
Yeah, no, that's fine. It's fine. You do it often, but it's okay. We got plenty of news to get through.
Yes.
So Daredevil trailer, we got it.
Oh.
You're the only one that has watched the trailer. Marvin and I have not because it was a cam. It's coming out March 4th next year on Disney Plus. But I did see some images. They do not have the D on his uniform, which some people are a little upset about.
And actually, honestly,
I don't really care. But
it is a cam, but it's actually not that bad of a cam, to be honest. For a cam, like it's somebody in the audience fucking filming the screen, but it's actually not that bad. It looks fucking good. I'm not gonna lie. For all the hubbub that was going on with it and rewrites and whatnot, it actually looks fucking good. And
yeah, this is one I can just wait to watch. I don't need to hype myself up for it because
that's fair.
Marvel has been such a letdown from the last couple phases that anything that's good is going to be a breath of fresh air for me. So no need for me to spoil it with cams.
That's fair. He did actually mention the DD. He said, because he was quoted as Charlie Cox, that is, talking about the suit, saying he loves the new suit, like it's a much more vibrant Daredevil red from the comic books. He goes, maybe someday I'll get the honor of wearing the double D. Yeah. So I don't know if he was like being cheeky and like sneaking and like hinting that it is coming. Because if anybody's going to do it, Marvel's going to do it, right? So
we got a Karate Kid Legends trailer. You talked about this a little bit in the Discord. Han, Jackie Chan's character, who was in the Karate Kid reboot.
I didn't know we got
apparently knew Mr. Miyagi. Yeah. We got a little description of it. Daniel and Han are going to train Li Fang, played by Ben Wang. So we're going to get to see how that all works out. But yeah, some more Karate Kid action for us. Did you guys watch the latest season of Cobra Kai?
Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely not.
Good,
Marvin doesn't know.
Oh,
Marvin knows nothing. Uneducated swine. Doesn't make Marvin watch Karate Kid.
But this is a Jackie Chan.
I've seen Karate Kid, but
the show is really good.
But there's, I mean,
really,
there's 4 original movies, and then there's the reboot, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 with Ralph Macchio and 1 with the girl, I think.
So we're learning that Jackie Chan's Mr. Han knew Mr. Miyagi.
Yes, that's what we are learning. But in the trailer that is played at the Comic-Con, it is just he mentions to Ralph Macchio that he knew, or Daniel LaRusso. He mentions that he knew Miyagi. So you don't know that in the reboot when he trains the Will and Jada's kid. I can't remember his name.
Yeah,
little Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Was in that kid reboot. He doesn't ever mention that he knew Miyagi.
No, because it was
plays
supposed
like
to
a
be
drunken
a reboot.
master type guy. But yeah, but apparently they're doing crossover canon stuff, so he didn't know him now. But that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But yeah,
hang on, you're confusing the living shit out of me. That movie was initially serving as a reboot. And it had nothing to do with the original Karate Kid, just title alone. Now they're blending the two, and so the big reveal is that he knew Mr. Miyagi. Correct. But this movie is also important to note. This movie is coming out after the second part. Like we still need to see the second half of this final season of Cobra Kai. So,
yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
I'm assuming whatever happens at the end of Cobra Kai has to do with this movie. Josh Held.
Oh yeah.
Confirmed that Cobra Kai is not tied into the new Karate Kid movie. He was quoted.
Good.
Quoted saying, "The guys and I are not personally involved in the movie. That's a Sony feature. We kind of exist in this universe. So as we are wrapping up our own series, Ralph is actually going to go off to participate and film that movie. But our series doesn't set up the new movie. The movie kind of exists in its own piece of its own universe with Jackie Chan's character and Ralph's character and the various other characters in that story. So I think Daniel is in the piece that does tie in, but there's nothing from a storytelling or character journey in our season that directly feeds into this project."
That makes sense because that's kind of what they said before when this was first announced, and they said Ralph Macchio might be attached, that it wasn't going to be a direct like sequel to the show, but it's just kind of same universe type stuff, but same but different, you know?
So that's some studio bullshit in my opinion, because Cobra Kai is very good and people love it. And it's like very faithful to the original Karate Kid.
Right.
So this is just some studio shit like, let's make a movie with fucking bring Jackie Chan back. Fuck it.
Well,
like,
this is also a licensing thing too, I believe.
Probably.
It was YouTube that originally had Cobra Kai, and it was so successful that Netflix picked it up and was like, we'll take that money off your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's so successful that Sony's like, hey, we did the movies. We want to do another movie.
Yeah,
This is just Sony doing what Sony does.
Yeah, this
and
is exactly
off the wave of other people's money.
This is what Sony does. They're just gonna fucking take something that was popular, Cobra Kai, and like use it to their own benefit, and probably produce something that's terrible, to be honest. because fuck
Yeah.
Sony.
Probably.
Yeah.
What else we got, Dusty?
Well, we got Marvin. He's a big fan of the Penguin. He's the only one watching it out of us, but it is a big success. Each week gets more and more viewers. The latest episode, they clocked in at 1.8 million viewers. I think the last episode only had 1.7. So each week they get more and more viewers, and that's because people are finally getting around to watch the first episode, which is at 14 million viewers. So, Deadline reporting that the large success of this, people don't care if there's no Batman, there's no superheroes. They like the dark, gritty drama and the crime of the underworld of Gotham. So, yeah. I'm excited to watch this when it's over. I'm waiting for it to be done to binge it.
We just needed a good, like, something about the mob, basically. People love that shit. Just anything related to the mob, like, people eat it up. I mean,
yep.
Some about
certainly.
it.
I've heard that it's basically just The Sopranos, but with like the Penguin as like the character. I don't know.
That's awesome.
No.
Like if you pitch that to me, I would be like, hell yeah, I'll watch that shit.
I'm sure it's
Sopranos,
good.
except with superheroes.
Apparently,
I mean, you could kind of, I guess you could say that.
Ed, shout out to Ed. We haven't had an Ed shout out in quite a bit.
You're a terrible friend.
I know. Sorry. Ed was telling me that apparently he read that like there's a bit of a push out there for
Today, Junior?
I'm sorry. Apparently WB is pushing for the Pattinson universe to be the DCU Batman universe. Like,
let's go.
No, but it's Warner Brothers pushing it.
It ain't happening.
I hope not, because here's why. Okay?
James Gunn will kibosh that.
Why are you laughing?
Y'all some haters. That's why I'm laughing.
No.
I'm a big fan of Bobby P's Batman, and I hope the Penguin is as good as you say it is, but I'm okay with it being in Elseworlds, and I want James Gunn to pick the Batman.
Honestly, I am too, but just because of how good the show is.
I
don't really care about it being in the universe and all that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just make my argument without you judging me, Marvin?
Yes.
My feelings on the Batman aside, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. It wasn't a terrible movie, but it was a good movie. It just didn't do anything really new and refreshing to me. Anyhow, I think now we have a opportunity to do something new and refreshing. Since Tim Burton's Batman, really, we have not seen. And I'll even throw your favorite in there, the shitty-ass Joel Schumacher movies.
Which one was that?
Batman and Robin.
Oh, fire.
And Batman Forever.
Fire.
Or was that,
Forever was Val Kilmer. Batman and Robin was
I didn't see Batman Forever.
Oh.
No, I don't think I saw Batman Forever.
Batman Forever's actually
I did see Batman and Robin.
The worst one.
The best one. Arnold Schwarzenegger, baby.
Since those movies, we have not really gotten a comic book accurate version of the character. You could argue that Zack Snyder's Batman was more comic accurate, and I would agree to a degree, but he was pulling from a very specific Batman comic book, that being The Dark Knight Returns. We haven't seen like a comic book Batman on screen. And you weren't here the day I joked about it with Dusty. I was serious, but I said it in a humorous tone, is that the world needs to just like move on from these like serious takes on comic book characters. They're comic book characters. Like, it's okay to embrace the whimsical, fantastical nature of them, right?
Yeah.
And like, we haven't seen that yet. Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy broke everybody's fucking brains. Like, oh, it's fucking realistic. And now Matt Reeves tried to do the same thing. And it's just like, okay, that's why I'm so harsh on that movie, is because it didn't really do anything new for me. You know what I mean? It's more dark and grit. It's a more dark and gritty version of that Nolan realism, right? I just want to see like a comic book Batman now, I think. Like, I want to see his gray and blue costume. I want to see fucking kapow and fucking shit on the screen. You know what I mean? I want it to be more poppy, more comic booky than what I think the Matt Reeves Batman is. So that's my argument against it. I just let James Gunn cook, baby.
Yeah, you get Jim Lee and James Gunn working together to create a Batman. You give me a Jake Johnson or what's his name, Jensen Ackles, or somebody, like just some random dude to play Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're going to do a great job. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, that's my take on it.
Okay.
So you're wrong.
All right. Well,
So,
speaking of
I'm kidding.
Christopher Nolan,
Yeah. Yep.
I guess we'll skip one and we'll go to this. His next film is still a secret after the comeuppance and the roses he got from Oppenheimer.
I'm getting sick
but
of
we
this
do
guy.
know that Matt Damon was already rumored to be in this next film. Now we know Tom Holland
Yep.
is also reportedly set to star in the film. It begins production next year. We still don't know anything else about it except that it's Christopher Nolan's next film and it's Matt Damon and Tom Holland. So it's going to be overhyped to the gills. So look forward to that. But yeah,
I have something to say. We need to make
Okay.
this. We need to make this a short too.
Here we go.
The world needs to fucking relax with Christopher Nolan, okay? Because,
No, we don't.
bro, he's a
There's
good.
nothing to relax about. He's the fucking GOAT.
He's a good filmmaker, but to fucking hype his shit 2 fucking years before a movie comes out, we don't know a title. It's not even in
Nothing.
production. Nothing. All like the news that Christopher Nolan is making another movie is like big news. Why? It's crazy.
Because he don't
well, I
miss.
try to curb your enthusiasm for Mike Flanagan's next Stephen King adaptation, and you're like, no, you need
Yeah.
to calm down because this is
No.
hype as fuck.
Nah, I'm not doing the same thing. I'm just like, listen, the guy makes good
Okay.
Stephen King adaptations.
All right,
This shit is crazy.
Yeah, that's fair.
This shit is
Christopher
crazy.
Nolan makes good fucking movies. It's
I
hard.
agree.
Like,
I love
I mean,
his
this is like
movies.
saying Denzel is, like I said, Gladiator 2 is probably going to be Denzel's first flop. I'm going to hold to
Nah,
that.
they're already
It's like
saying he's going to
never
get an
made
Oscar.
a bad
for it.
movie.
Dude,
He might, but
I-
that doesn't mean it's going to be a good movie. They're just going to nominate him because it's Denzel, I think.
I agree that he makes great movies, but that's like biggest news of the week is that fucking he has a new movie. First
Yeah.
it went from it's official, Christopher Nolan is in fact making a new movie. And then it went to all I see on TikTok and everything
Matt
is like,
Damon.
what is his movie
And
going to be
Tom
about?
Holland,
Is it going to be
yeah.
a horror movie? Is it going to be a sci-fi movie? What's it going to
Yeah.
be? Like, let the guy make his fucking movie and let it just come out. Remember when like movies just
Yeah.
came out and like that was the thing? Like,
Yeah.
it's 2 fucking years. He could die before it comes out. Like, just chill. I'm sure it'll be good, but like, fuck. Everybody's got to relax with this fucking guy. He's the only filmmaker that happens to. Like, if George Lucas made a new movie, like maybe it would get the same amount of hype. But damn, I like
Daniel
Christopher
Rickman,
Nolan, just to say, go ahead.
industry insider and scooper.
Yep.
On his Patreon, I guess. I tried to track this down in this Patreon scoop. Is the closest I could get to finding the actual scoop. He said that Andy Serkis is playing Null in Venom: The Last Dance, and apparently he will reprise his role again, possibly with a crossover in Spider 4. So we will get an Andy Serkis Null in Sony's Venom: The Last Dance, as well as maybe Spider-Man 4 and beyond. It might be several movies that are going to get Andy Serkis. He's played so many good villains, but I think this will be a great one if they can develop this character and the storyline. It's a great storyline. Noel trying to come back, take over the world with all the symbiotes.
So
Very, very good story, but
I have to interject with one of my pieces of news here because it's pertinent. Tom Holland recently did an interview on some podcast. Can you guys hear this? No, right?
Mm-mm.
it looks like it's muted on the.
Yeah, it's.
Stream, but yeah,
I don't know if it'll come through. Anyhow, he. Long story short of it, he was on this podcast and he was just saying how he has read the early script for him and Zendaya read the early script for Spider-Man 4, and they were like jumping around in excitement for it, and they're really happy with it. And this Twitter account right here is summing up basically the video. It seems as though Marvel and Sony are fighting about the direction of Spider-Man 4 because rumors surfaced.
Because they have been before they made an agreement to do it together.
I think you reported on it, and I even maybe mentioned it, is that Sony is pushing for like this like multiversal fucking big deal, big time kind of movie similar to No Way Home.
The King in Black. They want to get to King in Black is what it sounds like.
Yeah, and they want to try to like bring back Andrew Garfield, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like the way, because that movie was very successful. Fine, but it seems that Marvel wanted to take the character now with the Great Reset to this Spider-Man-esque character, the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Street level, teaming up with Daredevil and trying to get rid of the big boss of the mayor.
This interview seems like
D'Onofrio's
that
character.
was the direction Tom Holland wanted to take the character, and he says here that he feels he has a responsibility to the character, to the fans, and to the power that he now has with putting his foot down and pushing for certain decisions. He says that when he was younger and first got the role, he was only like 18, and like he was just kind of
he was a little shit spoiling everything. Yeah,
he was just at the behest of Marvel. Now he's developed a bit of a he's an authority on the character. So I think
he's
that's
coming
cool.
to his own, and if they want him to be the character, he has some say in it now.
Mm-hmm. So it should be interesting to see what direction they go in. And while we're on the topic of Tom Holland, he said that he hopes that the MCU introduces Miles Morales. Quote, "I'd love to do for a young kid what Robert Downey Jr. did for me." And the tweet that I saw this on was a reply that I laughed hysterically at that says they should cast Robert Downey Jr. as Miles.
That would be great.
Yo,
I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
So Tom Holland, again, makes me, when an actor has such a high regard for the character they're playing, that's good.
Well, and unfortunately for us, Sony's cashing in on letting the kids come to see the movie. Tom Hardy and fans alike had hoped that they would capitulate and make this an R-rated movie, Venom's Last Dance, but they did not. So we're getting another PG-13 Venom movie, which fucking sucks.
Lol.
Because this is like trying to make a Blade movie PG-13. You just can't do it.
Remember when the
It's not
Carnage
that
movie
fun.
was PG-13 and you didn't see him kill anybody? He just threw cars the whole movie. That's like the limit of what he did.
So bad. Just stop doing it. Give us I understand that you're trying to make as much. Look what not Daredevil. Holy shit. Wolverine and Deadpool just passed fucking Barbie. As far as like most profitable movies, and that's an R-rated comic book movie. Sony, open your fucking eyes.
I don't get
and
this thing
cater
with
to the goddamn adults, please.
PG-13 because
they think they're reaching a wider audience, and kids will show up, and parents will take their kids, and they'll make more money because parents are paying for their kids to show up. But
parents don't actually care what movies are rated. Just like parents don't care what games are rated. Like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was like one of the top selling games of all time, or some shit, right?
When your kids are teenagers, you don't really care. Yeah, when they're younger, you do care a little bit.
No, I agree with Marvin. I don't think parents give a shit either way. I think they're going to take them to see it. Like, who cares? R is not that far from PG-13. So, like, I don't know.
These days, it's not. But when PG-13 came out, it was a necessity. Like,
that's true.
Okay.
Do you think like what age limit? I feel like a certain age limit. They're PG-13 versus R.
I think once you hit, I don't know. As somebody has, 6
and if you're less than 10, you probably don't really
some
care.
PG-13s they wouldn't let them. I wouldn't let them watch. There's some I would, but it depends.
I feel like kids less than 10 might not even want to see these like PG-13 movies. Like they're watching like Inside Out and like Pixar movies and stuff, right? So
there are definitely parents who don't give a shit and let their kids watch everything. Like I know some parents who will let their 8 to 10-year-olds watch R-rated movies and like, hey, listen, this is just a movie and it's not real, and you can't watch this with your friends or make your friends watch this, but you can watch it all you want. So I don't, parenting, different strokes for different folks, but I don't know.
So you want to laugh?
It's weird.
Nick, shout out. We've had him on the show before. Nick, my boy, his oldest daughter, Olivia, she's like 5 or 6 now or something, and she's starting to get into like scary shit. So she spends a lot of time on like YouTube Kids.
Oh no, yeah.
But there's apparently productions on YouTube Kids that are like horror shit. So I went to his house last weekend for we watched the hockey game and got dinner or whatever. And on his TV in his living room, something she was watching was like a horrific, like I even was like, holy fuck, that's like disturbing. Like cartoon of Sonic and Tails. It was like a horror version of Sonic and Tails.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what it was. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And why are your kids watching it? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, Olivia's into scary shit. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So I was talking to his wife about it. I was like, Olivia's into scary stuff? And she's like, yeah, oh yeah, she loves it. And she was like, because she knows it's not real. Like, she understands it's not real, so she's not really scared by a lot. I was like, oh, she's going to grow up to be a maniac. We were joking. But then I said, yo, I was like, Nick, I was like, let's sit her down and watch some horror movies with her. I was like, you want to make her watch like It or something? He goes, no, I can't make her watch that yet. I was like, why? If she's fucking not
Great
scared of it. That's how I got started. Look at me,
you
I'm
might want to
fine.
start with like something like Stranger Things and move into It. I don't maybe.
Stranger Things, yeah, that's a good one.
So I just thought it was funny that like this little kid's just like getting into horror movies. Like, but I guess that's how it happens, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I remember like my brother's kids when I would watch them, they'd talk about like Five Nights at Freddy's when it started trending. The kids were getting into that. Like, it's scary, it's fun, it's a video game. They're turning into the movie. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
See, it's weird because you have older brothers, right? Dusty?
I have an older and a younger brother. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm the middle child.
How much older is your older brother?
About a year.
Oh, okay, so it's not that much older. Yeah, I don't know. I discovered like horror movies like kind of on my own. Like I didn't have like older presence. I didn't have older figures like introducing me. Like, hey, kid, watch this shit. It was just like I said, going to Blockbuster on a Friday night. It's like, ooh, this looks fucking scary. Let's watch this. And then slowly but surely, I got into them. I guess my dad like let me watch stuff when I was younger. I don't know. But yeah, all that to say, we might have a new guest on the show soon, a 6-year-old, talking about Halloween.
Hey, listen, the first scary movie I remember watching is The Exorcist. So maybe just have her watch The Exorcist and we could just
get it over with. The Exorcist, that's such a crazy movie to me because like I wasn't allowed to watch that when I was a kid for like.
I wish I wasn't because I might be, I don't know, scarred.
I mean, I remember growing up and like my older brother and my older stepsister, like they could watch movies that I couldn't watch, but I'd be in the other room because our room was right next to the living room. So like I'd be trying to sleep and they'd be staying up watching. Like I could listen to the movies, so I would hear the movies.
Right,
that's like almost scarier.
Yes, absolutely.
You're trying to sleep in a dark room and The Exorcist is on.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
crazy shit happening. You're like, oh fuck, what the fuck?
Well, my mother and her sister, my aunt, are out of their minds, lunatics. They actually believe that The Exorcist is like real and based on like real events and shit like that.
Yes,
could be.
Sure.
You never know.
Yeah.
Could be.
So
we know.
So for that reason, I wasn't allowed to watch it. Not because it was too scary, but because I'd be inviting the devil like into my life. And it's actually interesting. I don't. Did I send you guys the clip of this? I saw a clip recently of Quentin Tarantino talking about The Exorcist and how like culturally significant it is because of the fact that like it wasn't just a movie. Like people believed like by watching this movie they would become possessed by the devil. Like that's how fucking crazy
that was
this
a
movie
thing
was.
back then though, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like look how many people went out and started killing sharks after Jaws.
Yeah.
They just hunting down sharks for no reason.
Well, my dad told me when Jaws, I told you guys this when we reviewed it, when Jaws first came out, my dad was like, we didn't go in the water at the beach for like months after that movie came out. But yeah, so
I can see that, but hunting sharks,
that's crazy.
That's like people, they were boycotting Coronas when COVID first happened.
Dude, I forgot that happened.
What are you guys doing?
That shit was so funny. But yeah, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, for that reason, I wasn't allowed to watch The Exorcist because my mother's a psycho. But honestly, by the time I watched it, it was like so built up in my head that like I was like, this isn't even that scary. I don't think The Exorcist is like. Oh wow! I think it's the scariest movie ever made for sure, but it's not that scary to me. So I don't know.
Well, not anymore, because but
as a kid,
as a kid is ridiculous. Just like
it's ridiculous.
Evil Dead 1 is insane. As
Evil
a kid.
Dead 1 is pretty scary. Evil Dead 1
lady
got
like, stabbed in the ankle with that pencil. I was like, oh yeah, that's
Evil Dead 1 is probably the earliest movie I can remember.
Yeah, Evil Dead 1 and 2 are scary. Like Army of Darkness was fun, and funny and less scary. That's like you could watch that as a younger person and be like, okay, there's some kind of weird, scary stuff, but if it's totally different level than Evil Dead.
Well, while we're on the topic, I have another thing I saved for you guys. You guys probably didn't check it out because you guys never do. Our boy Bruce Campbell was at Comic-Con. I know you can't hear it.
He's always there.
Yeah, but he said when they made Evil Dead 2, they set out to blend horror and comedy, and they invented the genre. They called it what did they call it? not slapstick. They had like a horror version of slapstick. They called it. Splatstick. That's it.
Splatstick.
Yeah.
That's
So
great.
a little bit of
That's good.
horror, a little bit of comedy, and it was good. So he's in this video and he's talking about this and he's saying they did that because they were big Three Stooges fans. And if you have that in your mind and you're familiar with Three Stooges, you kind of like
Makes
see,
perfect sense.
yeah, you kind of
Yeah.
see the similarities there.
100%.
But he goes on to talk about movies like Terrifier. And that's why I saved it. He doesn't mention Terrifier specifically, but he says he doesn't like grim horror. He doesn't like torture porn. You put some guy's dick in a vice and poke it with a stick for 30 minutes.
Yeah, no.
He says that's not horror. That's lazy filmmaking.
Dang.
Lazy writing,
Shout out
lazy
to Bruce.
execution. So I think I agree with him. Where's the suspense? Where's the scare? Where's the mood?
Yeah.
Where's the
You're not
acting?
wrong.
And Dusty and I have talked about this
Yeah.
before. Dusty and I are in agreement. We do not like gratuitously gory horror movies. And it's for that reason alone. Like, I don't want to see, I don't know. I don't really want to see that, to be honest. Not because I'm like disgusted by Rivers.
Like, if it's necessary to the plot, maybe, but if it's just gratuitous violence for the sake of shock and awe, you're wasting time and money in the film.
Yep. It's just, I don't know.
But I don't know, like mood and atmosphere. I mean, Terrifier has that stuff somewhat.
Well, I'm
I
not
mean,
singling out Terrifier. I'm just saying.
I know. But I'm
movies
just using
like
it
it.
as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Terrifier, I mean, I guess it's gotten a lot
Like, what
better.
can you do in Saw 13 that you didn't do in Saw 1 through 10?
True.
Well, Saw 10 was different. It was good. It was
You
like
said-
a different story.
So funny that
Right.
you said Saw 10 with a
It was
straight
different.
face, and that like I didn't even. I thought
It's Saw 10 or X.
I
right?
actually
That's
thought
10, right?
Dusty was joking that there's 10 Saws. I
I
forgot
was
that they
being
really were.
facetious
No,
a
but they
little
really
bit,
were. Mom was
yeah.
like, "Nah, Saw 20. Like it's like a decent plot." That's
It's
crazy.
fire.
What else we got
Nah,
in the
that's
news
good.
here, Dusty?
Oh, Harrison Ford, my favorite interviewee.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I love him. He's so sarcastic. He's
the grumpy old man.
you know, yes. Shitting on Hollywood elites for shitting on comic book movies. This is the quote he had to say because he's obviously playing the Red Hulk in the upcoming Thunderbolt.
Yep.
He's General Thunderbolt Ross. I mean, this is the Marvel Universe, and I'm just here on a weekend pass. I'm a sailor new to this town. I understand the appeal of other kinds of film besides the kind made in the 80s and 90s. I don't have anything general to say about it. It's the condition our condition is in, and things can change and morph and go on. We're still, if we sit around regretting the change and don't participate. I'm participating in a new part of the business that, for me at least, I think is really producing some good experiences for an audience, and I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of shooting, bullets at the likes of Quentin Tarantino or Scorsese. Or everybody else who says that fucking comic book movies are the bane of movies and they're ruining. Yeah, I know. So I just love Harrison Ford for taking it in and saying, fuck you guys. I mean, I'm having fun. I'm getting paid. The audience is enjoying it. Just fucking shut the fuck up, please.
Yeah,
And that's kind of
everything doesn't have to be
a
like art piece, think piece thing.
The
Like, it just
3-hour
doesn't.
movie about the Irishman that goes nowhere. Yeah.
Still haven't watched that.
It was
Good.
okay.
You're
all
not
right.
missing anything.
You're not missing anything. It was okay. But,
It's a
like,
great film, but you're not really missing anything by not watching it. I'll say that. I could say both can be true.
yeah.
Right.
You can enjoy it, but also not miss it by not watching it because it's fucking 3 hours long. But
Yep.
yeah. Anywho. All right, on to the next piece before we get to our segue. As it turns out, burning money for the fun of it doesn't make good film or television.
Oh,
The
here we
Acolyte
go.
was something we talked about that was expensive as fuck. I think they spent about $80 million an episode, maybe more when all is said and done. We don't know. But Secret Invasion, Forbes just released some information. It's a perfect example of what not to do with $250 million. They spend $250 million on Secret Invasion.
That's
And
insane.
it is
6 episodes.
If you compare it, like if you look at those other movies, like some of those movies are some of the greatest Marvel movies to come out,
Mhm.
and they didn't spend
Whoa.
near as much money as they did on Secret Invasion. So
6
hang on one sec.
episodes, right? Yeah, it was.
It was 6 episodes. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't.
Some
even,
of them weren't even an hour.
Yeah, the Acolyte
Like, some
was
of the
very
episodes were
similar.
shorter.
So
but also,
yeah,
like
Crazy.
there needs to be some kind of investigation into where, like, this is like money laundering or something, because
it's gotta be.
I don't even know where
Wait,
that
where's this coming
money
from?
went, because the CGI in Secret
Atrocious.
Invasion was atrocious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find. Everything's an ad now.
Egregious.
The CGI was bad, but also remember
look at
the AI. Remember the AI
The
opener?
writing.
I didn't mind the AI opener. The AI opener was kind of cool, I thought.
Yeah.
But
I'm
like,
just saying, where's the money going?
I don't know. Yeah, like this. Do you remember this when she transforms? Like, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad.
It was.
Here it is. Look at this arm. The Drax arm. Look at this fucking arm, bro. Like, what is this?
Amazing.
I don't know. I find it wild that they keep like, how do you
good.
you've got a budget. Like
Mhm.
when they started out, they had we'll spend $100 million on this movie. Yeah, okay, we'll bump it up to 115 for the next one. But once
That's
they
a
made so
lot of
much money, they're like, yeah, we'll spend $250 million on every show we make, and they
Just
all
a show.
bomb. Like, what do you're
Like
just
that's
just
is
like
insane.
spending money to spend money. Stop it. Yeah.
The other thing too
Oh
is
my God, that was so like.
I have Modok pulled up.
We just watched Quantumania again because their kids hadn't seen it yet, and Christina was commenting about how bad he was.
Well, the other
as
thing
MODOK.
about-
I
We
was
talked
like,
about-
it was really bad.
We talked about live streaming ideas. One of them should be ranking the terrible CGI of some of these movies we've seen.
we should just do meme shit. But
Yeah.
so going back to Secret Invasion
Mystery
too.
Science Theater, except watch bad CGI scenes. Yeah.
Going back to Secret Invasion is not just the bad CGI. The show felt so tiny. Ryan Airy talked about this in his breakdown of the show, and some scenes that he points to often, which I think are great examples. There's the battle when the presidential convoy gets whatchamacalled, like blown up, and there's like that big fight in the street. That whole scene is shrouded in smoke in such a way that it makes the main chunk of the scene take place in like a fucking 3 square foot space.
Yeah.
And the entire background is just white. It's just smoke. So there's no background rendered in CGI. They didn't film on a location anywhere. So where's the fucking money going if you're not creating backgrounds? The other scene that he points to is when the president gets hauled into the hospital. There's nothing in. There's no doctors. There's no nurses. There's nothing. There's like 2 people that wheel him in.
Yeah.
So where did the money go? Did it go to Samuel L. Jackson? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure he probably got a 10% of that is probably him, but
nah, there's some crazy money laundering shit happening. I don't know.
But like, the cast isn't even that
what they
crazy
got.
to where
No.
the cast budget had to be that much.
Yeah,
right?
Samuel's going to demand a lot of money, but that's
That's what I said. He was probably 20% of that budget. He's probably got like some good money out of that. But
I'm sure he did.
That
but
jacked
still,
arm was ridiculous.
it does not explain it. But anyhow,
It doesn't.
all right. What else we got?
All right. Well, the last bit of news we got here: Alien Romulus. Fede Alvarez announced a VHS limited edition collectible is being produced along with other physical media for the film's release.
That's cool.
Fire.
During a special Beyond Fest partnered screening that they did in Los Angeles the other day. This is actually going to be 4:3 aspect ratio. This one's for you, Dan, because I know you're a video snob. No word yet on how many copies or how much the VHS will cost, but it does certainly have a December 3rd release date. So that's interesting that we're like, I don't know when's the last time we had an Alien VHS.
Our VHS
But it is
coming
interesting
back?
that, just maybe for collectors,
No,
like
I'm asking
vinyls,
facetiously.
maybe.
Are we getting a comeback of VHS?
I mean, vinyl's making a bit of a comeback, so who knows?
Maybe there's the world where
could be.
hipsters will start collecting VHSs. Maybe I could sell some of my VHSs that I have from a kid
Yeah.
for like millions
There
of
you go.
dollars. Become rich.
Or my uncle.
Although
would be a
Alien
billionaire.
Romulus, it hasn't past Prometheus yet. It
Yeah.
still could.
Mm-hmm.
It's at 350 million globally, where Prometheus hit 403. But I think that was because of the hype of it, because it'd been so long since we had an Alien movie. All that being said, even though it's second in financial success, it's third in critical success, whereas the first two films, Alien and Aliens, have like 94, 95% critical rating and audience score rating.
Mm-hmm.
Alien Romulus is sitting at 80 and 85% respectively, whereas Prometheus, which is the biggest maker of the series, is sitting at 65% and 55% for critics and audience score. So it might be the lowest rated one, but the most financially successful because of the hype behind it. But yeah.
All right.
It's doing well, so that's what we're here to talk about it, and that's all the news that I have.
Yep. Thank you for the news, Dusty. Once again, let's get into today's review, and that is Alien Romulus. So it's kind of hilarious and poetic to me that Alien is a franchise about a giant mega corporation that's hell-bent on like expansion and growth at the expense of everything and everyone. And here we are, 7 films deep, without any regard for like the lore or anything like that. The mega corporation in this case being the studio who pushes for sequels and requels and remakes and reboots and all that good stuff. Now, don't take that as me saying this movie was bad and that I didn't like it.
It's changed hands though, so
yeah,
it was 20th Century Fox.
Right
now it's Disney.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that's like a funny little connection.
It certainly, yeah.
And we were talking about earlier during the podcast about other things. Is that with franchise films, you're in a rock and a hard place because there is certainly studio pressure to create a movie that leaves the door open for future sequels and expansion of the franchise. But creatively, and I would say largely for fans, the more important thing is just giving a really good piece of the franchise. I don't know like how to word it, is just like a great addition to the franchise. And it doesn't matter about anything else. I don't think most fans really give a shit if they get to see like a fan service thing, if the story is good and like it serves the thing. So all that to say, 7 films deep, Alien Romulus, as Dusty said, I've seen it's gotten like pretty good reviews overall, but is it a good addition to this Alien franchise? Is it faithful to the original and one of the greatest sequels ever made, Aliens? Let's get into it. So this is directed by Fede Alvarez, which had me a little excited because when it comes to remakes and stuff, I think he did a good remake when he remade Evil Dead. It's very different than the original Evil Dead, but it's good in its own right, in my opinion. And to talk,
I actually thought he did better on this than the Evil Dead one.
No, I agree. This is definitely a better movie. And I don't know why I can't load his IMDb page, but we'll just let that do its thing. But to talk about Alien Romulus, we've got Marvin was right. There's a lot of bandwidth going on right now. Can't seem to reach this page.
A lot of thieves.
Yeah. So yeah, he did Evil Dead, and that's the only other movie of his I've ever seen other than Don't Breathe, which was like an original movie that he did, which is a really good horror movie, by the way.
It was good.
Oh, you've seen Don't Breathe? I'm actually shocked.
Yep.
But to talk about Alien Romulus, we have to, of course, talk about the originals. So the original Alien came out in 1979. It's iconic for several reasons. Masterfully blends science fiction with horror, introducing the xenomorphs, which is now one of cinema's most memorable monsters. Ridley Scott he had very atmospheric direction. He had H.R. Geiger's disturbing creature designs. There was this sense of claustrophobia and dread like no other movie up until that point. The tagline, "In space, nobody could hear you scream." Like it's one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It also features a strong female lead, Sigourney Weaver's Ellen Ripley, which I always talk about horror genre being woke as fuck. that broke gender norms of the time in action films. But generally, it just had this like slow building tension, suspenseful pacing, great special effects at the time, and it obviously left a lasting impression on the genre. When I first saw it, we were talking about Exorcist before, about being scary. Like Alien's one of the first movies that I remember like actually scaring the shit out of me. That's a movie that made me actually feel like I had a disease. Like when I was done watching, I was like, I'm gonna die. And then Aliens came out in 1986. And that movie is iconic for a completely different reason. It evolved the horror of Alien, and it turned it into a high-octane thriller action movie, which was directed by James Cameron. And the intensity is ramped up. You got a squad of Marines battling a hordes of xenomorphs. Relentless action. Sigourney Weaver comes back. She takes center stage. She actually earned an Oscar nomination for that role. And it's just this blend of like action, and then there's these deeper themes of motherhood and survival, corporate greed, and it's considered one of the greatest sequels ever made. And it's a different film than Alien. Alien is horror, I would say, leans more horror. This is like action sci-fi. And now we have Alien Romulus, which continues the franchise. It in my mind, I think, tried to build on the legacy of both films. Romulus tried to do a lot of things for me. You're muted, Dusty.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, I was making sure I'm not muted.
Nope, Dusty, you're muted. Let me check his. Talk for me, Dusty. There he is.
Test 1 2. Okay. What was I going to say? Fede Alvarez actually said that he didn't want to remake the first, and he didn't want to remake the second. He wanted to make something that was like a mishmash of the two and an ode to both.
Yeah, and honestly, it did feel like that. Like I said, each of those movies respectively made their own mark. One is a horror masterpiece, the other is an action sequel. Romulus definitely tried to merge both things. But also it tried to do like lore shit, which was established by Prometheus and Covenant. And so like there was a lot going on in this movie that I'm curious to hear what you guys thought about it. And so it takes place in between Alien and Aliens. I think it's 2 decades after Alien, the original. And that movie plays a big part of the plot of this one. So long and short of it is that alien that was jettisoned out into space by Ripley at the end of Alien, the company, the fuck is the name of it?
Weyland-Yutani.
They were like after this corpse since it happened. And the movie starts out with them like actually finding it. But
nitpick.
What's that? Nitpick? Oh, hang on.
3 thermonuclear explosions.
Yeah.
And they found it amongst the wreckage.
Yep, they certainly did. But the story proper is about our main cast of characters, Rain, Andy, Tyler, Kay, Navarro, and Bjorn, traveling to this space station to steal some cryopods so they could escape the planet that they're currently living on and go to some other place. That's basically the main premise here. So let's start with Marvin. What'd you think of this? Before we started recording, you said you saw Alien.
Yes, and Aliens.
You've seen them. You don't really super remember them, but did you get a catch up on them?
No. Yeah. You know me. Come on. I'm a recap god, so of course.
The king of recaps.
Yes. YouTube helped me out there, but I really, really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I watched it Sunday morning. I was wide awake.
Big.
I thought this was awesome. I actually felt like this as far as like in this universe of Alien, it was kind of giving me like Andor vibes of this like ragtag crew of people
A little bit.
that like aren't like main characters, but like they're still like in the universe doing things. Yeah, I thought it was amazing. Andy David Johnson was like the star for me.
I agree.
He was really good. I thought the action was good. It felt very tense as soon as they got trapped in that room.
Yeah.
It started obviously ramping up then, but yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed this movie.
Nice. Dusty, overall thoughts?
Yeah, overall great. I think this might be the third time I've watched it. Again, I watched it at the theater. I talked about it immediately
I
after
bet it was
when it
great in
came out,
theater.
and it was amazing. And then I'd listened to some of the critiques about it. I didn't really have too many when I first watched it, and I get some of them like what I just said. The three. I went back and before I watched this one, I watched it last night with Christina, and before I watched it, we watched like the last 20 minutes of Alien. Because I was like, well, are there really 3 explosions? And there actually are. Like when she's leaving and she blows the ship up, there's 3 nuclear explosions.
Yeah.
And then she jettisons the alien. So the fact that they found it amongst all the wreckage is kind of weird. But it's not really a complaint I have too much of. But this was amazing. It does definitely. There's a lot of odes to almost every Alien movie. If you really want to sit down and think about it, like. Even what is it? Was it Prometheus where they let the infected person on the ship? Like there's some callbacks to almost everything in every movie if you really want to. And the face huggers were done so well. That's just something that gives you that heebie-jeebie creepy vibes and like having 30 of them chase you down and jumping around at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just this is I think it was an amazing movie, and I'm glad I watched it several times, and I'll probably watch it a few more. This is going to be a classic.
Okay. So you're a big Alien fan, like myself. Do you feel that this is a worthy successor?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
There are a few things they probably could have done a little bit differently, but I really don't. I think, like I said, as far as like Fede Alvarez goes, this is not his worst remake. It's probably one of his better remakes.
Well, it's not a remake. It's just a straight sequel. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, a sequel. Yeah. But yeah, Evil Dead, I guess, was more of a remake than a sequel, man.
Yeah, that was a straight. That was a straight. No, that was a straight remake. They remade. That was a remake. That's why it was like. I was like
requels.
Well, yeah. Well, besides,
it's hard to tell with requels these days. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So I agree. I really enjoyed the movie. Mostly, I thought I agree with Marvin that there's like a lot of suspense with the action. Like it's built in. It goes side by side. Like a lot of the action scenes in this movie are tense. I didn't feel like the horror of it though. There was not really any horror elements in this for me personally. And I think it's because of what I thought was like the biggest weakness of this movie, with that being too much reliance on the franchise.
It was more Aliens than Alien for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that's a problem. I'm simply saying that
right.
I'm vocal. I despise Prometheus and I despise Covenant even more. I thought I think both of those movies are terrible for a lot of reasons. But so I was hopeful that this was going to be an opportunity to sort of like refresh the franchise a little bit. Okay, what were you going to say?
I mean, I felt like they tried to give you that, what we talk about a little bit, instead of the shock and awe. Like at the end, they gave you that horror vibe of where, she's giving birth in the pod and you kind of see all that weird shit. And then you see the child and you're not sure what's really going on. Like they try it, but it's more creepy than scary almost. So it's not horror. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm just feeling uncomfortable right now. That's just kind of fucking sick.
It's just missing that feeling of the original where it's like you just feel like I said in the beginning, like you just, that claustrophobia and that fucking just.
Yeah, the only time they give you that is when they go into the ship and they're crawling through that narrow corridor and there's a dead rat. Like that's it. You're like,
it's the only,
that's a little claustrophobic.
Like I haven't played it, but I heard Alien Isolation is like very true to what the original movie did. And I like Dead Space is a video game that I played a lot, when I was younger. that series great, but also pulled that off. I don't think this movie did that, where like there was no real moments of like horror, and it's because I knew what was going to happen the whole time. Like, and that's where I think the movie kind of like failed for me. I wanted it to be like, at least Prometheus and Covenant did different things and introduced different aspects to the lore, and you're in different settings, and it's like it tried to do something different. This I just feel was like, hey, here's a story set in this universe, and it looks very similar to two things that you love and remember, and feels similar to those two things, but it didn't do anything different. Like, I think the movie was good. Like, it was a great movie. I thought the acting was great. Specifically David Johnson, as Marvin said, as Andy, the android. He was fucking the standout. Kaylee Spaney as Rain. We last saw her in Civil War. She was fantastic in this as well. Did you guys recognize her? She was the little protege from Civil War.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that was her. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I didn't put that together. No.
Didn't recognize her, but yep.
She
that
was
is her,
great.
for sure.
I thought all the characters in this movie were like real fleshed out people, and I understood all their motivations. In fact, I have it in my notes here. I can't remember the last time I wanted someone to die more than Bjorn. But the strength of this movie is I think the characters were mostly fleshed out enough so that when I was told why he was being a dick to Andy, like I was like, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But man, did he get it good. Woo, that was a good death.
Yeah.
Fucking guy just got melted to death. Loved it.
Right. Just slowly.
Electrocuting the alien vagina. Yeah.
Yeah. So
He
like
tried.
The acting was all great.
That explanation was good too.
His mom was like
the evolution. No, the
that.
evolution of the alien from being so small and it goes into another cocoon.
Yeah, because before you'd only see like the sacs of the alien getting bigger.
Left
now you
up,
see it like coming out of a cocoon type thing.
That was one of the things they did good, I think. And the xenomorph engineer hybrid baby was pretty crazy to me too.
That was genuinely scary and frightening.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And it reminded me, it had big fucking The Thing vibes. John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah.
Very freaky. However, again, that was another weak point of the movie for me. I think that's
something that they retcon. You said they didn't really do anything new, but they've got this what is it, X71 serum or whatever now.
Well, it wasn't a retcon. And we'll get into the lore in a bit. It's a little bit muddy and whatever, but I don't know. I was hoping that like Marvin said, Andor, that was like its own independent little thing. I was kind of hoping that this was going to be that. Because like Alien started as like, it's just
so smaller scale, like less big like it was like 18 million xenomorphs on that ship.
Because Alien started out as, like I said, I joked about it in our opening about it, but it was like, it's a movie about a mega corporation trying to expand and colonize parts of space. And like the xenomorphs are just like a mild inconvenience in that expansion. And
yep.
But now, 7 movies in, we have all this fucking lore and the engineers and human fucking alien hybrids and creation itself and like the meaning of life. And
trying to make the perfect human so they can mine the entirety of space and not have to worry about paying humans anymore.
Yeah.
Slavery.
I just feel like the franchise has lost its way a little bit. And I think that, Fede Alvarez, to his credit, definitely tried to take the film and make it smaller, make the lore smaller, but there is still a lot of that lore in there. Like he talks about the Prometheus, whatever the fuck they called it, the Prometheus gene, or I can't even remember. And
the perfect, the perfect DNA inside of the DNA or whatever.
Yeah, like they talk about those little things and yada yada, and it's okay. They don't really mention like David and like his fucking shenanigans and like all that stuff. So it's like, he had to put some of that stuff in there. And that's where I think, for me, the movie was a little bit weak. Because, like, you get this whole thing that's like, it feels like it wants to be an aliens hybrid. Like, he didn't lie about that. Like, that is exactly what it feels like.
It definitely feels that way.
And then the last third of the movie is, like, lore and action and fucking all this crazy stuff. Now, the topic of fan service obviously comes up a lot when you talk about franchise films like this, and whether that fan service was cheap or effective. For me, personally, I think the movie, there were key moments in the movie, and this is why I say I use the word weak, and I think it's a weakness of the movie. There were key moments in this that weren't just little moments. They were like big plot points, beats of the film that like drive the movie. And they are moments that hinge on the fact that this is a franchise film. Let me explain. When they first introduce us to the facehuggers, it's like a big fucking deal. The scene is kind of dragged out, and then the facehuggers come out and they're jumping on you. They're doing all the stuff facehuggers do, and it's like, okay, if you're an Alien fan, you know this is coming at some point. And they did the thing, and they delivered on it. Okay, the next part of the movie, when the xenomorph is finally grown, and it starts to come out of the pod, and that scene just fucking drags, and the shot back to her reacting, and then back to it close up, and you see it's fucking all the detail in its skin, and then back to her, and then back to it, and it's slowly revealing itself to be like, hey guys, look what it is. It's a xenomorph. And it's like, okay, you're an Alien fan. I know we're going to see this at some point. And so, I don't know, those big moments in the movie were just I just thought they were like too much. It's not fan service even. It's just like, hey, remember?
No, that's more for, it feels like the people that have never watched Alien or Aliens. So? I think that, yeah, it's because they don't know what's necessarily coming because, unless you watch, I don't even know how many people watch Covenant or Prometheus, but the AVP stuff, nobody really watched it all. So
I don't know if
I think this was for new fans.
It's possible. I don't know if I'm articulating it properly, but those reveals just like the chest bursting, they just hung on them. Yeah. And like they just felt
the
like
the scenes were a little long in some instances.
They just felt a little bit like almost like stroke fests of like we're making an Alien movie. I'm not describing it well. It just didn't feel natural to me. It felt like, hey, here's the reason why you guys all showed up to this. And then, do I think they were cheap moments? No. But I do wish this movie stood on its own a little bit more instead of trying to recapture big moments from previous movies. So now
my biggest problem was Rook.
Yeah, so let's get into that. So that was like that was a point of controversy.
Don't CGI Ash into the movie. Just get a different guy to play a fucking android. Like, why did you even? It was bad CGI. It didn't look like him. Didn't really sound like him. It was unnecessary, and it was actually distracting from the movie for me.
So this was actually spoiled for me like immediately after the movie was released, which of course is the inclusion of Ian Holm's likeness. Ian Holm portrayed the character of Ash.
Yeah.
And Ian Holm was a legendary actor. He also played Bilbo in Lord of the Rings trilogy, of course. But passed away when? A couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Let me see.
2020.
There you go. 2020.
Post-COVID or COVID, yeah.
So it was like a big deal. A lot of people were, you know how the internet gets when something like this happens. So I knew he was in it. I knew his likeness was in it. But I didn't know that his inclusion was like such a huge part of the movie. I thought it was going to be like a little cameo or some shit.
Nope.
I did not expect him to be like a full-on antagonist throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
I don't quite know why it was needed, to be honest. Like Dusty said, it could have been literally any other model of android that this company has made. But at the same time, I'm not like offended by it or anything like that. I personally don't feel it was needed. I think the same plot points could have been hit without him. And then Alvarez has stated that he obtained permission from Holmes' family, including his widow, who believed that he would have appreciated the opportunity to revisit the role. The director emphasized that they approached this with respect and integrity, aiming to honor Holmes' contribution to the franchise. Thoughts?
Yeah, it just felt like they were doing more of the same of the other stuff. Like, Bishop was the android in the original movies that was a copy of Wayland himself. But they went a different route with this. Instead of getting the Bishop android, they went with Ash, aka Rook, I guess. But
yeah, it was Rook in this one.
Just like I said, it was distracting and it was bad. It wasn't the best CGI. So I would have rather them pick an actual person who could have acted it out instead of like the OKC. It wasn't terrible CGI, but it also wasn't great. Like I could tell it was CGI.
Now this topic came up when Star Wars did Rogue One, and there was two of them in Rogue One. There was Grand Moff Tarkin, but he was in it briefly. He was like 2 scenes in Rogue One. And then, and who played Grand Moff Tarkin? Peter Cushing. Sorry, couldn't remember the name. So they had his likeness in Rogue One, and then they had and then they had the likeness of Carrie Fisher at the end when she gets handed the codes. Now, in that regard, it's like necessary for that plot because Rogue One literally leads into Star Wars, right?
Right.
And it's like a 1-second scene. This motherfucker was in the whole fucking movie. Like, he's the driving force of the entire movie, pretty much. I don't know if it was really necessary. Did it bother me? No. Did it ruin the movie for me? No. Could it have been done better? Yes.
Just one of those itches you just can't scratch to get it to go away kind of deal. Like,
minor
annoyance.
And then there's the second one, which I again had heard that there was something in this movie, a piece of fan service that was so egregious and made no sense. My buddy George told me about it, how bad it was. He didn't spoil it. You mentioned it, Dusty. Yeah. I've seen it all over. But I managed to not have it spoiled. I kind of figured it was going to be this piece of
talking about the line.
Yeah. I had a feeling of what it was going to be, but I wasn't 100% sure. So at the end of this movie, so Andy at the end of the film, when he saves her, he says, "Get away from her, you bitch." That's Ripley's famous line from Aliens when she comes out in the mech suit. It's like one of the most famous lines in all of cinema. Like, it's honestly one of the most egregious callbacks or something I've ever seen in a movie. It was so unnecessary and so out of character for Andy to say that. It made no sense. It was just like, man. It didn't ruin the movie, but it'd be like Robert Pattinson saying "I'm" and then waiting 10 seconds and saying "Batman" in like a Tony Stark fashion in Iron Man. Like, it's a requotable line that's famous, but you fucking butchered it. It would have been like
why?
It would have been like Jared Leto's Joker saying, "You want to know how I got these scars?" Like, it's
so serious.
Yeah, it's just so egregious. It was like, "Get away from her, you bitch." Like, it was so weird.
I think it was supposed to be funny, but it wasn't really.
Nah, it did not land. Whatever the goal was, it did not land. And I think it speaks to my overall issue with the movie is that it was just way too reliant on the franchise itself. It did not feel like a localized, like its own story. I did enjoy it. I hope that I'm making that clear. I enjoyed the movie very much. I did find it tense when it was supposed to be. I enjoyed the action. The acting was fantastic. The special effects in this movie were great.
Oh man, yeah.
The CGI was amazing.
Dope.
Yeah. The CGI was great.
Fire.
The practical effects when they used them were all great. So I love the movie. It's a great movie. But I think it relied a little too heavily on the franchise itself. So much so that
the Easter eggs were a little cheesy at times.
Yeah, I was gonna say the reliant, like you said. I feel like they had that first maybe 20, 30 minutes. I feel like we needed more of that world that they were on because it was actually like a really cool world that they had built.
Remember how cool fucking whatchamacallit in Andor was? What was his home planet?
I know you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it.
Where Marva lived, that planet where most of it took place.
Oh yeah.
They could have done something like that, but instead they opted to like
Ferrix.
Herrix, right? Yeah.
Ferrix.
Ferrix, like a ferret. But then instead they tried to like explain lore and like establish lore and like tie it into the lore that Prometheus and Covenant did. And like the lore in those movies is so convoluted and stupid and bad that like I was like, why are you even talking about this? So it turns out that like, well, I guess to break down the lore, if there's any like super fans out there that need to correct me, please. I'm sure I'm not going to get it all right, but like Covenant and Prometheus basically established that like there's these race of aliens, the engineers, they're obsessed with like genetic engineering and manipulating life. It's alluded to, but not confirmed that they have something to do with human life, that they seeded life on Earth at least, right? And then they created through their bioengineering, they created what were like the early forms of xenomorphs. Then David, the android, got obsessed with bioengineering and created like his own strain of xenomorphs in Covenant. And then by the time you get to how that ties into Alien, I think is like just so fucking stupid, because in Alien, it starts with an egg. And it's like, that's like horror. And it's the Michael Myers thing. It's like, you don't need to know the origin of the fucking horror. It just is. And so it really disappointed me that they mentioned it ever so briefly, but it's like the whole point of this plot is like the CGI Ian Holm robot was working for the corporation on this space station that was trying to use the black goo and stuff from the engineers or whatever to basically the corporation was carrying on the engineers' work that they discovered to create an alien human hybrid, as Dusty said, to create the perfect slave race to colonize space, basically.
Yeah, but I mean, if you follow the lore, they do a terrible job, because what is it like? It's like Alien Resurrection, where, spoilers, Marvin, like Ripley is a fucking hybrid alien, fucking human. That's as far as they've gotten, and it's still not.
Yeah,
like they still haven't figured it out hundreds of years down the line,
right,
from where we're at right now.
So that's why by the end, I was like, well, what the fuck? Like, because I knew that. I was like, what? I was like, well, they're doing a callback to Resurrection? Like, that was surprising to me. But then I was like, okay, fine.
Like I said, he pulled from all the movies, or nodded to all of them, it feels like.
But yeah, I don't know. I think and to be honest, that last like 10 minutes of the movie when they reveal the hybrid thing, that was genuinely fucking scary to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was.
That was the only thing that this movie did that was original. And so a 2-hour movie waited till the last 10 minutes to decide to be its own thing.
Mm.
And that was kind of my overall issue with it. Did I hate the movie? No.
Yeah.
Did I think it was not a bad movie at all. It's a very good movie. It's just within this franchise, I don't think it was what I would have wanted it to be at this point in time. 7 movies deep, I would have wanted it to be a little bit better. And we don't even know where the franchise is going with lore and stuff. We still have fucking what's-his-name's television show that's coming out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I'm sure this is going to get a sequel because, as Dusty said, it was financially successful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot of yapping, though. What else did you guys think about it? I love the characters.
I can understand the gripes. I do agree it was great. It doesn't take away from it from me, but it probably ruined the movie completely for some people, like some super fans out there. But.
I did see some complaints about this that said it was too reliant on like the fan service stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I see that as fan. I do see the Ian Holmes thing as egregious fan service.
Yeah,
but the other stuff I don't really see. Maybe I would lean more towards what Dusty was saying, which is like trying to maybe show some new fans and try to evoke that same feeling of some people that may have already seen it originally.
Like I do see it both ways. I don't know, the whole like. I don't know, just those like fan service. I think the definition of fan service is kind of like misconstrued often. Like for me, fan service.
Yeah.
When you say fan service, I think of like, hey, we're rewarding you for being such a fan. A great example of that is like in Avengers Endgame, when Sam comes out of the portal and says, "On your left." That is a reward to fans who have stuck around for 10 plus years, 22 films, and remember that throwaway line. In Ghostbusters Afterlife, when we're in Egon's basement and you just see jars of collected mold spores and fungus, because you know that's his hobby. I collect I'm gonna cry.
But at the same time,
it's good fan service.
Those movies are part of the problem, because like if you watch like what Screen Crush, like Ryan Airy, anytime like a movie like this come out, he's like, here's the 93 fucking Easter eggs that you might have missed, and like they're trying to load so many Easter eggs in sometimes that instead of it just being an Easter egg, like, oh my gosh, like in Dune, like though there's the bull on the thing that killed the grandfather that nobody knows about unless you read the books or the comics. Mm-hmm. Like that's not an Easter egg anybody's gonna know, but it's not part of the story and it's a fucking irrelevant. Where in this it feels like they try to shoehorn it into the story and it just takes it away from it a little bit. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Marvin hasn't seen afterlife. But do you remember in the original Ghostbusters, Egon, when he's talking to the secretary, she goes, "Do you have any hobbies?" And he goes, "I collect spores, molds, and fungus."
Yes.
Well,
yes.
in Afterlife, you're in his basement in this hideaway house that he lived in, and the camera just pans by a shelf very quickly, and it's just there's jars with spores, molds, and fungus in it.
Oh, nice.
And it's the very quick
That's
thing.
a good Easter egg.
Yeah, it's a good Easter egg. It's good fan service. It's like, hey,
it's an
remember
homage.
this?
A fan
Also-
will pick it up if they're a fan. And nobody else will give a shit, and it doesn't matter.
Also,
Right.
the candy bar, the Nestle Crunch in that movie was another little. They're very little Easter eggs that if you're paying attention, congratulations, here's something for you. This was not that. This was like, I got to sit here and watch a xenomorph emerge from its cocoon for fucking 2-3 minutes straight because like it's like
Yeah.
I know what's coming. Just get to the
Yeah, the whole the face hugger, like, how do we get it off? It's gonna strangle. Like, we've seen that
Mhm.
a few times in the other movies.
that was my big point.
It's just redundant now.
Like if you
Right.
think back
I
to
get
the
that.
if you think back to the original Alien, the chest bursting scene is so iconic because it's shot in such a way where you're literally spending time with these people. They're eating, they're socializing. It's like just your average, everyday fucking thing that everyone on Earth could relate to. And then all of a sudden, this guy starts choking. And everybody could relate to the fear of choking on food. Everybody, you ever at a restaurant and all of a sudden it's like, is he all right? And somebody's choking over
Yeah.
there. That's the sort of scene that builds for you. That's what is being built. And then all of a sudden it escalates and then the fucking thing bursts out.
That's another nitpick that I with this movie is.
Well, hang on. So
in the original, go ahead. Yeah.
well, I'm just saying we've never seen that before at that time. And that's why it's so iconic. And so they recreate it here and it's like, well, we know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Why spend so much time on it? Just let the thing burst out and get to the next scene. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But they also 10x it and then they slow it down. Like,
Yeah.
in the original, like, he has the face hugger, it's on him, and then like he sleeps and then he has lunch and then like a day later it pops out of his chest.
Yeah.
And this one,
It's a slow
it's
burn.
on her face for 10 seconds. They get it off and then it pops out of her chest 5 minutes later. Like, I get
Right.
that these are kind of like lab fucked with aliens, so maybe they're a little bit more super than the regular alien, but
More
Yeah.
advanced.
in the original film it takes hours if not a day or two for that shit to take place, and in this it's like 5 minutes later she's got an alien bursting out of her chest. Like, what the
Yeah.
what?
Now, I don't want people
So,
to
I
think
don't know,
I'm
there's
trying to unfairly criticize this movie. I did not expect it to be Alien. I did not expect it to be Aliens. But I would have preferred if
game
it
over, man.
I would have preferred if it did. The other thing about Alien, the original too, is like another thing that like flips you as a viewer is that like Tom Skerritt, he's the fucking man in that movie. You're
Yes, he
conditioned
is.
as a viewer to think that he's the fucking man and that he's going to be the lone survivor. That by the time when he actually gets it, you're like, oh, who's the fucking lone survivor going to be? Did you ever for 1 second question who the lone survivor in this movie was going to be? Right.
Yeah.
And it's not because it's woke or anything like that. It's just, you just know, you know?
Yeah.
Do I love the progression of the character of Andy, and I loved his character. I thought it was a really great way to handle an android who's not human.
Those are the
knows
best
he's-
points
Yeah.
of the film. Yeah.
He knows he's not human, but like by the end, he kind of like is given more humanity because she's like, it's about us, not me anymore. And, you know, yada, yada, yada. So I do think it was a very well written movie and like the characters were very strong and stuff like that. It's just those moments where it like has to be an alien film was like, didn't really do it for me. That's all. But overall, I did enjoy it. Any final things you guys want to say?
I'm excited to see the next one if they're
Well, it'll be the show, and
right.
it's Noah Hawley, who is
Yeah.
an amazing director. I'm still
Yeah.
waiting for Dan to
Yeah.
watch Legion, but
And so when we started talking tonight, recording, you know, I had said keep this theme in your mind because we're going to talk about it with Romulus, and that is the theme of like, you know, making a franchise film. You have one of two choices: you either expand the lore like Prometheus and Covenant tried to do, or you just make a one-off like here's a movie in a universe with aliens type of thing, the way that, you know, let's just say Andor did. right? Like here's just a story in this universe that's isolated and localized and have fun. This tried to do both of those things, and I don't know that it didn't fail, but it was I guess less effective than I would have wanted it to be. I think I prefer Alien as a horror franchise rather than an action franchise. That's my personal take. That's not to take anything away from Aliens. Again, it's one of the greatest sequels ever made. Probably next, it's like Terminator 2 and Aliens. Like there's no better sequels.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think I would have preferred. Here's a great example. I think I would have, like, Prey is a great example of what I would have wanted this movie to be. Prey did both those things well. It established, it gave you bits and pieces to carry the franchise forward, and it also was its own isolated, separate thing with a new character who you could get behind and like, hey, this is her experience with this creature. That's what I would have preferred this to be. And now we know Alien going forward, I mean, a Predator going forward, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be like, hey, here's a new time period, new fucking Predator, and a new group of people to deal with it. Like, that's awesome. What I would have wanted from this.
Yep.
Well, I mean, that's what Predator 2 was.
Yeah,
right?
but like
was
Predator 2 was also
one in the future.
Yeah, Predator 2 was corny as fuck though. But yeah. But anyhow.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I'm a person who likes all of the Alien movies and all of the Predator movies, including the AVP movies. I don't love them all, but I like them all, and I can rewatch them all.
That's fair.
And this one is above most of them.
I'm glad that there was
Not
nobody
all of them, but most of them.
stupid in this fucking movie. That's a horror trope we always talk about.
I mean, the guy, the kid, the electrocution kid.
I don't think he was stupid, though.
The androids.
He wasn't the dude from fucking Covenant.
That's infected onto a ship is just as dumb as what it happened in Covenant.
It wasn't Alien Covenant where they step off the ship for the first time onto an alien planet, and the first thing they do is remove their protective
take
face
their mask off and breathe on the spores.
And
That's
then
true.
stare into spores that are just
but
like,
I mean,
fucking in his face.
If you've got an alien face hugger on your face and we don't know, maybe it ingested something into you, I'm not going to bring you onto the ship.
Well, that's why.
Well, these people aren't like scientists. These are just like normal people
kids.
that are like they're like truck drivers in space. Essentially, like
they're fucking nobodies. You know what I would love for this to be? I would love for this to become like The Expanse, but with fucking xenomorphs in it.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Like you could tell stories with just like, oh hey, here's a run-in with a fucking xenomorph, or it's like
just ever so often. It doesn't have to be the main focus.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. Didn't hate the movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I would totally watch it again. I also think it's the best sequel since Aliens in the franchise. So that says a lot. And it's gotten mostly like critical praise as far as I could tell. I mean, there's been some nitpicks and gripes about it, but nothing too crazy. So it's got a 7.2 on IMDb. I would give it a 7. Marvin?
I would give this like an 8.5. Yeah, I like this a lot.
Okay. Dusty?
Yeah. I give it a 7.5. I don't know that it's worth quite an 8, but 7.5 definitely strong. Definitely I'll rewatch it several times. Love it. It's gonna go into the rewatchability catalog for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
Not as many times as Alien or Aliens, but this is gonna be this is on. I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think what dropped it a little bit for me was that I spent a lot of time just like knowing what was gonna happen next, I think.
Yeah,
sure.
I would like to be surprised for once in a movie, but I don't know. Maybe next week we'll see. Next week, folks, is the episode everybody's waiting for. Make Marvin watch. Next week, I've changed it several times. We said Possession, but I realized that there's a must-watch movie that Marvin has to watch for the month of October, spooky month, and that is Jacob's Ladder. A great horror movie.
We talked about doing that one last year.
Yep. And I remembered.
1990.
Yeah, oh yeah. Jacob's Ladder is one of my favorite movies, and I am very excited to hear Marvin's take on it. So if you want to hear Marvin's take on that, join us next week. Consider subscribing. Like the video, leave a comment, do all that cool stuff. It really helps us out. And, consider joining the Discord. We have our schedule on there. You can watch along with us and get involved in the conversation. But we appreciate you guys watching and or listening. And we will catch you next week for Jacob's Ladder.
See ya.
Basta.